today about the PC game Anarchy Online, which is a massively multiplayer online role-playing game with a persistent universe. And the difference between this game and maybe other single-player role-playing games you might have played, like Baldur's Gate, for example, is that there are lots of other people, thousands of other people, just like you, who have characters just like you, exploring this same world. So games like EverQuest and Asheron's Call have used sort of a high fantasy setting where you might create a character who wears a suit of chainmail and uses a sword and a shield to fight his enemies. And you can still do that in Anarchy Online, but since the game takes place in a very futuristic setting, you can also just as easily create a character who wears a suit of Kevlar body armor and carries a heavy assault rifle or a flamethrower. And you can also create a character who's a specialist in the game's equivalent of magic spells, which are called nano formulas. Now, what's interesting about Anarchy Online is that every single character class can use these nano formulas. Unlike other games that have come before it, only characters like wizards and priests can cast spells. Basically, in Anarchy Online, every character class, every character race can cast spells. And what's more, the game has a really open-ended character skill system that'll let you use just about any kind of weapon, use just about any kind of fighting style, use a great variety of different nano formulas, and really just give you a lot of freedom as to how you want to design and customize your character. So a lot of people were looking forward to Anarchy Online because it sounded really, really promising, and it was. Unfortunately, when the game was launched, it ran into a number of problems that you may have heard about. Specifically, there were some problems with registering the game. When you first purchase the game, you need to register the game's CD key online. Unfortunately, the server used to register the CD key and your credit card information to pay the game's monthly fees was insecure. What's more, there was also a CD key problem where some people couldn't register their CD keys. And even if you could get into the game in the first few days of release, the game was actually pretty unstable. It would tend to crash a lot. It would also suffer from lag problems. And it turns out the developer Funcom has actually been pretty hard at work fixing a lot of the problems. 2 days after release, for instance, it actually implemented a secure server for registration. It also implemented a fix, at least a partial fix, for some of the CD key problems. It improved the login handler capacity, and it also increased stability so that there are less crashes when you play. That's not to say that Anarchy Online is 100% stable right now, because unfortunately it's not. That's why you'll see a lot of people, angry people, customers who bought the game, posting to the game's official message boards, complaining about the problems that they've had trying to get into the game and trying to play it. Really, the main reason why most of these players are so upset is just because these problems are keeping them from playing the game. And when you actually do get into the game, assuming you can get past all the technical and registration problems, you'll find that it was worth the wait. You'll realize why these people want to play so much. For starters, Anarchy Online is hands down the best looking online role-playing game around, period. Of course, there are many people who would say that the way a game plays is far more important than the way it looks, and of course that's true. But in the case of Anarchy Online and these other graphical online role-playing games, this is the kind of game that you'll sit and play for hours and hours and hours. And if you're going to be staring at a computer screen for that many hours, the game had better look good. Fortunately, Anarchy Online really delivers on this point. And the game's excellent graphics really carry over in the environments, which are all really varied and all look really good, and all do a really good job of suspending your disbelief and making you feel as though you really are in this futuristic science fiction world. You might explore a desert tundra, like a post-apocalyptic wasteland in the middle of an ionic lightning storm, which look really impressive. Or you might explore a huge city metropolis that's patrolled by security guards that are carrying heavy arms. And what's more, Anarchy Online's characters look even better than its environments. The game lets you choose from one of 4 races. 3 of them can be male or female. There's the Solitus, the Opifex, and the Nano, and then there's the fourth race, the Aatrox, which is unisex. Each of these races can be customized to appear to be tall, or short, or fat, or thin. The game also lets you choose from a huge variety of different faces, all of which look great. Some of them are very, very creative. The great thing is, basically, no matter how you design your character, whether you want your character to be very good at casting nano formulas or carrying heavy weapons or anything else, your character will be able to adventure alone just fine. There have been other online role-playing games that have basically forced you to group with other players, and this can be difficult sometimes when you can't find other people who want to play, or you can't find your friends, or you don't have a lot of time to find other companions. In Anarchy Online, you can absolutely, positively solo, and you can do so productively and gainfully. What's more, the game features an innovative system of quests called missions. What those do is they let you take on a single mission to accomplish an objective. These usually take place in a house or a cave or a secret passage, some small closed-off area of space that doesn't conflict with the open areas of the game and won't be affected by overcrowding, because you can have as many or as few people in the mission as you want. If you know, you'll always find something new to do, and you'll always find that you have something to do, thanks to the mission system in the game. There are unfortunately a few bugs that are associated with missions. One of them involves a really weird thing that happens when you partially clip through a wall or a doorway. But despite these bugs, missions are still a great way to basically just go out and have something to do, rather than just always go out and look for good monsters to hunt that drop good loot and yield good experience. You can generate your own dungeon, your own mission on the fly whenever you want, make it as easy or as difficult as you want, and as it turns out, a lot of the easy difficulty missions can actually be completed in about 30 minutes to an hour solo. So, provided Anarchy Online doesn't give you any serious technical problems, you can usually pencil in a mission or two into your schedule a lot more easily than you could a big long session of another game like EverQuest or Asheron's Call, which requires you to go out and hunt for a long, long time to gain experience points, or maybe camp, which is staying in one place hunting the same group of monsters over and over again because they yield good experience and loot. And you'll find another thing about Anarchy Online is that it has very little to no downtime, which is time that you spend basically sitting down, waiting for your injuries to heal, waiting to recover spell points, or in this case, nano points. That's because the game actually has first aid kits and treatment kits that you can use to replenish your nano pool and also your hit points or your health, so that basically you're never really sitting around waiting to do something. And aside from just fighting and hunting and doing quests and looking for experience points and treasure, Anarchy Online also has a great deal of sort of social content. The game has a huge variety of different character animations that you can use to make your character jump or laugh or dance or do one of many different things. This really helps your character be a lot more expressive and also just distinguish your character a little more from other people. And as mentioned before, the game also has a huge variety of different weapons, different kinds of armor you can wear, and also just a huge variety of clothing that your character can wear. Now, clothing in Anarchy Online serves no real useful purpose in terms of providing armor protection or making your character stronger or anything like that. It's solely for appearances. And there's a huge, huge variety of clothes that you can use to make your character look as interesting or as cool or as silly as you want. So all this great social content are only going to become more important this fall when the game's story begins. Anarchy Online's backstory was actually written by designer Ragnar Tornquist, who was responsible for creating The Longest Journey, which was a great graphical adventure game for the PC that had a terrific story. Ragnar will apparently also oversee the way the game's 4-year story unfolds dynamically, and what's interesting is that the story is actually going to change based on the actions of players. Now, the story deals with a conflict between this huge corporation that's taken over the planet called Omnitech and the sort of rebel clans that that live on the planet and just want to live in peace. Choose to align yourself with either Omnitech or the clans, or be an independent freelancer, and you can actually change sides at any time up to a certain level of experience. That's provided you can get it across enemy lines to the other side. Even though the game had really severe technical and registration problems at launch, and it continues to have some pretty severe problems that are keeping some people from playing and are causing great difficulty for others who are playing, the development team has actually made some pretty good strides on improving performance. They've fixed several of the registration problems. They've increased the game's stability, and it seems like they're really dedicated to making the game work. Once it does work, it could very well be the very best online role-playing game out there.